And we're live. This is the Born Free Podcast, episode 19. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review on iTunes. Please check us out on YouTube. Subscribe to our page. Check us out on SoundCloud. Leave a comment next to your favorite podcast. Our guest in the studio today, someone I had the pleasure of working with. Someone I think would say kind words about me to
Not
people.
entirely, but
I like to say writer, broadcaster, presenter, and just overall media personality. Busisiwe Gumede. How you doing?
good. I think you missed the journalist in that intro. More than
journalist.
anything else.
Actually, that's the main thing. That's what
Exactly.
That's what you studied for.
Exactly.
So how are you doing?
I'm very well. Tired, but in a good way. I
Tired
guess.
because of?
I just came back from shooting a backchat episode.
Are we privy to what the content is going to
Yeah,
entail?
sure. Actually, it's airing this week.
Okay.
Thursdays. It airs on Thursday nights at 9:30 on ENCA.
Thursday tomorrow.
Thursday.
Okay, we
tomorrow,
record this on a
essentially.
Wednesday, so
So we
Thursday
record
tomorrow.
exactly, and then
Okay.
they put it together. This week's show is about. Sorry, I just have a lot of things that I've been thinking about. But this week's show is about baby mama daddy drama. And just just imagine like on a very serious channel like ENCA,
Okay.
young people get together, sit down and actually talk about a light subject like that.
Okay, and like just to provide context, I'm disappointed in myself because I haven't watched any of the shows. I
been?
plan to. TV, I'm in fit. One can't tell it is TV. I'm not TV.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping I can actually get into the shows. But just to provide context, what type of show is Backchat? Who's it targeting? Who's it for?
So essentially, to give a bit background, Backchat is ENCA's new youth talk show.
Okay.
The whole premise of the show is for young people to not take a backseat in creating the narrative.
Okay.
Whatever it is about young people. For quite a long time, the audience has always maintained that the younger audience, that is, that more of the older viewers and the experts and stuff say young people are like this, young people do this, young people do that. But essentially, they haven't dictated what the narrative is and said it for themselves, actually. So what we do, we don't care who you are or what position you hold at work. If you're unemployed, you get together. We just have your Twitter handle. And we discuss issues.
Okay.
You are basically like the expert on whatever issue that we talk about.
So is this like kind of like a way of trying to get young people involved in news stories, current affairs, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold. On one hand, you have a view from the outside. So the older viewers are able to have an eye in, I guess, and say, okay, this is what young people are talking about.
Okay.
And young people are, on the other side, would say, look, this topic has been broadcasted on or reported on for a number of years, but there's that particular angle that is never talked about.
Okay,
so it's literally,
approach.
just think about it as like a discussion between five friends, Emma Boning, for example, and there is less stress about us being politically correct. We put things as they are, we tell it like it is. And I think that's what's so shocking and refreshing at the same time, in terms of the people who watch and who say, oh, okay,
it's
this
unfiltered.
it's a different show, but we like it. So what I love about it is that I can be myself. I can hoy in like isiZulu, and that's the kind of person who I am. Like I just hoy all the languages, and this is on a channel that's that's sort of perceived as a white platform for white.
So in terms of like the content itself, are you empowered with the ability to produce it yourself, come up with the talking points, the topics, etc.?
No, so I definitely do have a producer.
Okay.
She is the one who gets to go out and find the guests for us. But because I'm a perfectionist, I write my own script.
Okay.
Okay, and I write my own questions. I just am very fussy. I believe that if you want a good show, it's more about preparation. so that
Yeah.
if anything comes my way, I'm able to bounce back.
Okay.
But yeah, we do have producers. It is their job to put the show together, which they do, but I'm definitely hands-on.
So when you got the show, or well, first maybe take us through how you got the show. Is it something you pitched? Is it something that was pitched to you?
Yeah. Very funny, because I auditioned for the show after they had closed auditions, and I actually
Okay.
haven't told anybody this.
But
But not really, because they didn't think about me
yeah, but
when they
Unsoemo,
conceptualized the whole thing.
everything was closed. They probably picked someone. The person was probably contacted.
I remember on a Friday, because I co-hosted with a guy called Sia Later,
Okay.
and we worked together at a community radio station
Okay.
where I'm from, Alexandra.
Okay.
And I saw him on a Friday afternoon, just passing my workstation. I'm like, Sia, did you get a job here? Great. Obviously, like you share that whole hustler thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, no, look, I'm not sure yet, but I just auditioned for a new youth show called
Okay.
Backchat, and I was like, not on my watch.
So
not
this is the
on
first
my watch.
you only heard about that show
On that day.
when he told you about it.
Yes, and I was like, no ways, because I've been producing youth-related content for this
Why
channel.
bangangibizang?
Why bangangibizang? I should have been the first on the list. And I hunted down the head of current affairs,
Okay.
Debbie Mayer, and I was like, Debs, look, I mean,
I Gabi Mara.
I'm sorry, but and Debbie's like, no, Busi, I'm so sorry, auditions are closed and stuff. And I went home and I'm like, anyways. And this was actually after I had auditioned for Daily Theatre.
Okay.
No, not Daily Theatre. What's this? This one that airs on Sunday Live.
Okay.
They had auditions for SABC, and I was like, shortlisted, but didn't get it. So I was like, brother God, what's going on? So on Monday, I go back to work, and Debbie calls me, and she's like, look, I've been looking at the footage, and I'm not, happy with the pool of people that we have. Come through. Let's see what you've got. I crammed an entire Bible. Exactly. And funny enough, the auto cue to a certain point like froze, and I was
So
like,
you
you
couldn't
know what?
actually read from it.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'm dropping this whole reading thing. I've got like radio experience. I can
do
just
this.
roll, and I did. And yeah, afterwards, I mean, I just knew that. Yeah, I don't know. I think when something is for you,
Yeah.
you don't have to fight as much.
Dope. So
Yeah.
in order of like in terms of the like just going back to the content itself, man, what are some of the talking points or some of the conversations you think young people aren't having, right? Or the conversations you think young people are having but certain audiences aren't listening to us?
Last week we recorded one Buy Black campaign.
Okay.
And I mean, it's big in the States where people are consciously making
There's
a
actually
decision
a page called Pipe Black.
Exactly. And it's been happening in South Africa, but on a smaller scale, where there are those social media pages, Facebook pages of entrepreneurs, black entrepreneurs who've come together and said, support us type of thing.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, you have black people who are saying, it's hard to support black business because the service ain't that great.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And I think it's those kind of discussions that we need to have and that we're not having. It's great to do all of the light subjects. It's fun. It's easy.
Yeah.
But I think for us as a generation, like we need to have like reflective topics that we discuss that would make people actually think, okay, if I'm saying black business is incompetent, it's actually a perception.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a reality.
Yeah, if I get bad service from a white corporate or business,
you never really highlight it. It's just so one of those days.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly,
a thing. Yeah,
exactly. So now you want to tweet, hey, black business, that type of thing. So I think I'm bound to. I'm more aligned to like topics that make us think as a country. It doesn't have to be like new topics that haven't been discussed, but I think it really has to do with like us and the times. Like we are in like can you feel it? Like we are on the brink of something.
I think human beings are just going through a phase where, like, nobody knows what's going on, man. Like, me personally, I think, like, we're freestyling. And I think...
What you mean?
Like, freestyling in the sense of, notice how there's this, not necessarily a perception, but there's a reality of rules don't mean shit.
Yeah.
Right? And which is true. They
Yeah.
don't mean shit. But
Yeah.
the problem with breaking rules and taking them down is you have to replace them with other rules. So
Yeah.
like, I think there's a lack of ethics, integrity, a lack of like a way of doing things, a way of moving forward, right? So we can relate it to how, let's talk about baby mamas, relationships,
Yeah.
and all this thing. Like, everybody's freestyling relationships.
Yeah.
Right? We've thrown away the conventional way of doing things, which I'm not saying is wrong, right? But we haven't replaced it with something that's our own, right? Like,
Well,
not necessarily rules,
it's very hard
but
to replace it. For example, with relationships, I really think that because of what our parents went through, we are just shitty people. In terms of like our generation, because
okay, shitty in the sense of,
like, it's very hard to know what your role is in a relationship in
okay,
2017.
okay.
So, for example, like, okay, maybe I'm veering off a bit, and
No,
you
we
let
can
me know.
go where we need to go.
For my parents, like, I've never seen them affectionate,
Yeah.
and that was reflective of the kind of relationship that they had.
Yeah.
Let's say my
That's
dad
most of
wasn't-
our parents.
Exactly. Like this whole thing of, I'm going to work, I love you, I'm
kiss
gonna
now.
miss you.
That's most of our parents. yeah.
Exactly, you know, but it's happening in other households, because if I go to my other, friend's house, I'm like shocked, nigga. I'm like, geez, the affection in
True,
this house,
true.
you know. So I think that has, in a sense, affected me
Okay.
in terms of my relationships, because I'm very practical.
Yeah.
Like, we cannot
Get
be
shit done type of
yeah,
thing,
we cannot
like-
be holding hands in a mall like
Like,
for
since
more
I
than 6
need-
hours. Like, I have to go get money, even when I'm paid. You know, like that type
Yeah.
of thing. I veer off a lot, so please
No,
just
look, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, those things. That's we're reflecting, right? Cool.
Yeah.
Our parents went through certain situations that we, fortunately enough, don't have to go through in that context, right? The context of apartheid, the context of
Yeah.
social reform, economic reform. That's fine, right? I'm saying we're at a point, especially our generation, and I hate the term our generation, but our people,
Yeah.
where we are as
Yeah.
young people, right? We have this tendency to just, throw the bath out with the baby out with the bathwater, right? Like, it's as if we don't know what we want. It's as if we don't know how we want to move. We just know what we don't want, right? We know we don't want this type of relationship. We know that we don't want what our parents had, but we just don't know what to replace it with, right?
Yeah.
And that's
But
the freestyling
also, it's
I'm talking
this
about.
culture of wanting more, and we as a generation have embraced it quite a lot.
Yeah, but more of what?
That's the thing.
Like, we
that's
want
the thing.
more.
We don't know, but I want more. Like, I really do. Like, it's that drive when you wake up in the morning. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve. You can get that, call of a lifetime.
course.
But after a minute, you like gunning for something else. It's even with relationships, like,
Yeah.
you get the really great home cooking girl, omuhle and stuff,
But
and then you cheat
Nah,
afterwards.
my-
Vice versa.
I think that's very easy. I think that comes down to we have access to a lot, right? We're the
Yeah.
first we're the first generation of human beings, actually, to be able to look into the lives of other people. Like this is through
Yeah.
social media, television, communication.
I've actually
We
never
can
thought about it
actually
that way.
like put a microscope on other
Yeah.
people's lives and be like, damn, okay, they living like that.
Yeah.
So and so is living like that.
That's deep.
And it's like,
Yeah.
then you start, and comparison is inevitable at that
Yeah.
point, because you start looking at your life like, oh shit,
I'm basic.
yeah, like, you know what I mean?
I'm basic.
You know what I mean? You're a writer, you're a broadcaster, journalist, you're all these
Some
things.
people are broadcasting on planes.
Young
I
man,
want to do that.
You see? that's where we are. Like, there's no such thing as content. Like, or contentment. Like, we're not content as young people. Not saying we should be, but there's a level of appreciation that we don't have with what we have, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody has more than what we have, right? So that's where we are. We're like, Busicho,
Yeah.
when's I saw, I mean, I'm just on Cosmo FM, or
Yeah,
me, I'm
yeah.
just on YFM.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
want to write, and not necessarily I want to write because I think I'm
You
passionate about it. I
yeah.
just, you know what I mean? I want to, like we were talking off air about, I was saying like, why don't you release a book? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the trend now. It's like, oh, okay, you've got some form of, you know, notoriety, some form of a level of respect and a level of experience in your own field. At this time, people are dropping books.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because they are writers and they actually have a story to tell that is of substance, length, or detail. It's just that, you know,
I just have to write
I can
a book.
I can write a book. I think that's
true.
where we are as young people. You know what I mean? But
True.
other than that, like what other things are what's drawing your eye, man? Like just not necessarily just news specific, or but just as a young person, man. Like what have you been gravitating towards? Like what's your energy like? Where's your focus at?
It's very different. I think since I turned like 26, I've been more about relationships.
Okay.
And not like romantic.
Yeah.
But like relationships with my mother. You know, I'm more analytical and more understanding.
Okay.
We just never had like a good relationship.
Okay.
From the get-go, because I didn't know her, actually. I was so fixated on not messing up my life or not failing.
Yeah.
For me, not just for her, you
Yeah.
know, that I actually pushed away my family, pushed away my personal life.
Yeah, again, I think that's a lot of us. Eh?
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
And that for me happened when I changed jobs, and I changed like quite abruptly. I quit actually, which I never do. So that was new to me. And I thought, geez, actually, if I'm centered around
Your
this
profession, your career.
institution,
Oh, okay.
and my
Particular.
career actually, and you know who I was on air. You know, I used to be the one person who'd come in early and leave late, and I was like, you know,
I'm gonna put
like,
in the work.
Yes, and I was like proud about that. Yeah. Oh well, people are sleeping. I'm not hustling. You know, getting that paper. You know, and then when it all stops, when God says, "Ima, you will go through depression light."
Yep.
And I'm saying depression light because I didn't actually entertain it.
Yeah.
But I think I did go through like a mental thing where I'm like, I am so tired.
Yeah.
I can't do this. Like, I don't have friends.
Yeah.
How crazy. I do have family, but I don't have a good relationship. So this year has been about me building relationships.
Yeah.
When I'm tired, I do acknowledge that I'm tired. When somebody asks me, how are you doing today? I don't give the generic,
Yeah.
I'm
No,
great. No, I'm actually tired.
Nkatele.
You know, this is what I do. So it's more about self-awareness.
Yeah.
It's more about trying to take care of myself, which is very different. I guess maybe that's not the answer that you were expecting, because
No.
I'm so like centered around like
Yeah.
work. But this year I was like, you know what, let me put that on a side a little bit, you know, not drop the ball or not compromise my brand or my work, but actually prioritize my
Busisiwe.
work. Yeah, like actually schedule time to rest.
Yeah.
Like schedule lala between this time and this time,
Which is necessary.
Yeah.
And which is rare in the industry. Like we talk about like being in the media industry and like terms like, you know, no sleep, terms like go
Yeah.
get it, like, you know what I mean, make this money, you know what I mean,
And
all
you know
the
what? We
rubbish
lying to
terms. But that's what I'm saying. These are
We
rubbish
are
terms.
lying. We are lying.
Because it's like we don't prioritize like, well, not necessarily the basics, but essentials, like the idea of sleep, rest, diet, you know, spirituality,
Yeah.
health, in
Yeah.
a holistic
I could
approach.
meet, actually. I
You know,
could meet.
things like that. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
especially in the media industry, we have this thing of by any means necessary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If we whole nighter, chase the story, maybe in your field, you know, but we never really, it's as if we're machines. It's as if we've accepted that we're like machines, we're androids.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily like have to look after ourselves. And in the sense of you focusing on your relationships, did you find that most of the relationships that you had when you were focused on work were not necessarily like authentic friendships or and stuff like that?
You know, I like that you say that, because I feel like we are friends of like vibes.
Yeah.
Generally, you know, when you meet somebody and you admire something about them, or you want to feed off
that
a
energy
certain
that they
thing,
have,
not
that they
just
give
energy, maybe it could be image.
off.
You know,
True, yeah.
and you want to actually take advantage of it, and I'm putting it like that
Yeah,
because
that's what it is.
that's what it is. You know, so we invest in these fake friendships of
Hey,
like,
friend.
you know, chummy guy that you like out in neighborhoods.
It looks good for the gram.
You know, you pop in
Yamtega.
champagne. Exactly, but that isn't your friend. Your friend is that one okule naye tageni.
Usasekhona lapha
Osasekhona namanje, you know.
Mara wena ngithi
That's
so
exactly.
you've elevated your social circle.
So that also what I've learned to Guti. My friends don't necessarily have to be in the media space, and actually those are the good friends who are not like engulfed and actually don't wish to be seen as celebs or seen as, you know, Busi's friend. You know, so my friends are actually not from like media, so to speak.
So you can actually leave work at work.
Yeah.
Right, with relationships like that.
Hardly though with me, because I speak about work all the time. But at least there is that break, man, in terms of conversations where you talk about other stuff other than.
And do
than
those
work.
conversations necessarily like breed? Just as a content person, like I'm always having conversations, but most of the time they seep into, oh shit, that's a dope idea.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Do you have those?
I mean, that comes out a lot with Checkpoint. A lot of the stories that I've worked on are a result of conversations. Like, you know, a friend would come to you and say, you know, this hospital did this to my mother. I can't believe this is happening.
And then obviously that
like,
triggers the news, the reporting.
Exactly. You know, to a point where the friends and family would be like, okay, don't be a journalist about this. But I'm just telling you. Yeah, exactly. You know? But yeah, you're definitely right. For me, I think that's where you get those triggers and you're like, oh my gosh, like I have to work on this idea, or I have to hold this person or this institution or this company accountable. You know, it is through just normal interactions with people.
And have you had, like, as a journalist specifically, have you had like a running in with you know, corporations, individuals, where it was not necessarily a safe place, like, or maybe like at a point where, you know, you felt threatened, maybe financially, career wise, or anything like that? or is your field not necessarily that deep in terms of?
No, it is. Last year, I mean, I worked on a crazy story about taxi wars, and it was over the route, the Mall of Africa, which is like a lucrative route. If you look at the number of people who are now going there with this emergence of a new mall and all of that. And there were two taxi associations from my hood, Alexander Township, who claimed that, you know, that route was theirs. You know how the story goes. And I did the story through the eyes of one owner of taxis, and we broadcasted the story. I mean, I did everything that I could in terms of protecting him. So we didn't show his face, we changed his voice. And a week after, literally 2 days after we reported it, he was killed.
Wow.
And I think, like, I will never get over that.
That's crazy.
Like, I will never get over it, because when you interview someone, you sort of get a glimpse of their life.
Yeah, you share their vibe, you share their story. It's as if they're part of you.
Yeah, and his interview was more as if he was prophesying, you know, these are like my last days, because he talked quite a lot about like his family. He's worried what would happen to them when he's not around, you know. So when it happened, I think like everything in me died. Literally, because for me it was about exposing what was happening so that something could happen, and then that the war would come to an end. But it actually
fueled it. Yeah.
the opposite. And I had to question myself as a journalist. It's okay, ethically moving forward, like, what are you going to do? And I mean, I spent some time ngayekaya, because obviously Checkpoint is such a big platform. I mean,
Yeah, because it's like now it's like
they have so many viewers, honestly.
Yeah.
And it was a question of, okay, are they going to come after me? Because at that point I was so like enraged that I wanted to solve like the murder in a
it's
way.
like,
You get to a point where you're like, actually the police ain't doing shit.
let me do it myself.
Let me do it myself, but end of the day, I'm not a policewoman and I don't carry a gun, so I had to like lie low for a bit.
So how do you draw that line in terms of, obviously the ethical side of being a reporter and being a journalist, right? You chase the story, get your source, protect your source at all costs, but at the same time, how do you protect yourself while doing that, right? Is there a point where you have to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna do this based on, because of my own health and the well-being of my family, my friends?
And I mean, that's the role of an editor, firstly.
Yeah.
Because my editor is able to say, look, you've done it. Don't go through anymore. Like, don't push anymore. Don't try, like
we've got what we need.
We've achieved what we wanted to achieve as a show.
Yeah.
So like, it's fine, because now it's gonna put your life in danger. That's the role of.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Post the story or?
Yeah, post the story. Yeah. And then they offer you like the usual like counseling and stuff if you want. But for her, she was like, look, I just don't feel comfortable anymore.
Yeah.
And I was still living there at the time. So she was like, I mean, you are in the thick of things.
Yeah,
so
you're in the township, you're there.
Exactly.
So
exactly. So
they have access to you.
Yeah, let's just move on.
Yeah.
And my friends as well were like, look, and then what? And that's where you get conflicted as a journal, because you're like, no, like, it's my job. And people are like, no, you need to take care of yourself. Yeah. Honestly speaking, like, worrying about yourself is the last thing when you are hit by the adrenaline of finding facts. You find something and you're like, oh my God.
Let me chase it. Let me go deeper
and
down
then,
the rabbit
exactly,
hole.
And then you just, next thing you know, you're in this freaking elevator with like, okay, that's a bad analogy, but I guess you find yourself in a hole.
Yeah.
A dark hole where you're like, okay, how the hell did I get here?
So has that changed how you approach? I mean, you're doing a different, well, you're still doing Checkpoint, but I'm saying that does that change your approach in terms of how you go, like the stories that you pick, the type of content you chase?
I think stories pick me. Like, it's more about what hits me.
Yeah.
If I'm passionate about it, like, I will stay up, but if I get thrown a story, or if my editor says, okay, work on this, I'll just do it because, okay, I have to do it. But if a story is mine, like, it will come to me and I'll know it's okay, this is my kind of story. So I don't necessarily plan or like handpick. I could be walking out and I see something and I'm like, okay, actually, let me do this next time. Yeah.
Okay. So on a lighter note, I know we went right into it, but what are some of your ambitions, man? What are you trying to achieve in this space as a young person? I think this is a space that not a lot of young people play within the media space, obviously. But what are some of your ambitions? What are you trying to achieve as Busisiwe?
I think journalism will come to an end very soon.
Okay.
I see myself traveling quite a lot.
Okay.
But with purpose, I think, to still do advocation, highlight issues. So a different form of journalism, I guess, advocacy. I'm really interested in that. I love being on stage. I love having control over 100,000 people, and the only way I can do that, just think about it. I'm looking at it and it just, is through advocacy. Not necessarily through like the traditional like UN or whatever, but I think my destiny is more about imparting the knowledge that I've gained over the years with people from different countries, sharing my ideas, very weird ideas generally, about what I think the world should look like. And mostly like inspiring, like and that's the thing about like my youth focused shows, articles and all of that. I'm really passionate about like young people, but they will get a point, there will come a point where I'm old and I have to think
not
about
anytime soon.
Exactly. But I know, but I really just want to be on like a world platform.
Okay. So you
it doesn't necessarily have to be in broadcasting. It would be nice, but I know after doing it, I'd still want to move away from it. Yeah.
So you talk about like an ideal world and how the world should look like. What would you say your ideal world would be? Like your utopia? Like what does that look like?
One that doesn't have Donald Trump
as president, or just Donald Trump period?
Just existence in jail, guys.
That's never going to happen.
But anyways, I think more like freaking togetherness.
Okay.
Like it's obviously a world that is idealistic, but if you, for example, are passionate about like technical or whatever, you should be given an opportunity to freaking go to Silicon Valley
and flourish
not being prevented by money or anything like that.
That one right there is the biggest one.
Exactly.
That is
right.
Money.
Yeah.
That world you're speaking about doesn't have currency.
Yeah.
Or the currency isn't money, if there is a currency.
Pretty idealistic, Gakulu, but yeah.
A world without capitalism, basically. That's you're describing.
Not in
that.
my words, but
I'm just thinking about it. No Donald Trump. A world where merit is at the top of the list and nothing else. That's a world without.
But what system is that then?
I mean,
because I don't think
utopian socialism, maybe. By definition. Socialism by definition, not the corrupted version of it now, but I guess like I think anything that doesn't involve conflict based on identity, for me, if I'm just thinking about what would be my ideal world, conflict based on identity.
Like I've always thought, like from a young age, like wondered, like why do people go through pain? Like why do we have poor people? And
it's a valid question to ask. Like it's a valid question to ask, and we need to entertain the idea of answering it, because why do we have poor people? We have poor people because we have rich people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we can't, like, as far as resources and as far as access to resources, if someone is going to have abundance, someone has to be without. Like that's how it works. It's a scale thing. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. But where we're at now, I think it's just a matter of trying to, we're trying to take from each other. Right, where we find ourselves in terms of like just democracy as a whole, like society as a whole, we're taking from each other. So the poor are taking from the middle class.
Yeah,
we don't ask the question of how can someone sit with trillions worth of land resource, trillions worth of economic resource,
and not share it,
and not even not share it. Why? and not be interrogated. Like, how can you have that? No, because I earned it. You know, I did this and did this. Okay,
and I
cool.
mean, that's why people had a problem with Thibaut Touch's tweet the other time. I think he
I'm
was
not
talking
heavy
about
on social media. What did he do?
well, he was describing, I think, a beggar or something like that. And
Okay.
said, look,
Hey, Thibaut
that
Touch.
person wouldn't be in that position if, beggar hustler.
That is
type
the
of
problem,
thing,
though. Because we're saying that I have a huge problem with that statement. Because we're saying that we're all born at equilibrium, right?
Exactly.
We start at zero. No, there's people that don't start at zero. There's people that start at 5. There's people that start at -8.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I have a problem with that because it's a very simple and easy way for rich people to sleep.
Well, then how do you explain
get what I'm saying? Like,
people who were born and brought up in very bad
conditions, yes.
in poverty,
Yes.
and really get successful? And if you check their lives,
Yeah. They were supposed to fail.
yes,
Basically.
but they literally worked their asses off.
That's will, and will that's like it's sheer will. Like, if I had to simplify it, it's sheer will, it's a miracle. Actually. Like, if we really look at it, it's a miracle. And just to take it closer to home, like, I love hip hop. 50 Cent is a miracle. Like people don't get that. Like, the man got shot 9 times, right? Went in and out of jail, and is one of the richest people in hip hop today. Like, he's got a #1 show on television.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Those things are miracles. How many 50 Cents are there in the world?
Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah.
And I think we get sold the fairy tales. No, if he can do it, you can do it too. No, not really, because miracles don't happen that often. Not to say you should be, down on your luck. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we need to get to a point where the beginning of the podcast you talked about community, like togetherness, like that's what it is. Like, humankind is a concept of community, right? Different communities, but community nonetheless. And I think it's I don't want to say Western because everybody's the West, but it is a Western concept of individualism that's hurting us as Africans, because I can't,
like American dream vibes.
yeah, I can't speak for their culture. That's theirs, right? But the concept of like, pick yourself up by your bootstraps and go out there, and that's not an African concept. African concepts about community, sisonke, ubuntu, you know what I mean? Like,
which is
we'll do it together.
degenerating, I mean, as is.
Because it has to. How is it not? Because we've been influenced by Western society, Western norms, Western ideals. Like, look at social media. You go on there, you can't even identify who's South African, who's not, who's African. You know what I mean? Because those concepts are dead in the water. It's like, ugh. You know what I'm saying? Like, the idea of community is slowly leaving our identity as Africans as a whole. So, but just to get back to the whole an ideal world, that would probably be my ideal world where, right, community returns, the idea of helping each other returns, the idea of, identity not being the sole reason why we're apart.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, Busisiwe wants to go bald. She's beautiful as she is.
Mm.
The other lady wants to put a weave on. She's beautiful as she is. That should not be there shouldn't be a divide based on that, right? The divide should never actually occur in terms of identity. We're still humans. You're human. Where we need to come together is, Sonke, we need to eat. We all need to drink. You know what I'm saying? We all need to search for happiness. We all need to all need to maintain this planet that we're on and make sure that it's ripe for harvest. It's ripe for our kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are ideals that should speak volumes, right? But the ideals that speak volumes is, she wears a red dress. She wears this. You know what I mean?
It's more about, like, materials more than anything. Yeah, but it's a lot of things are just disheartening. Not recently, but just in terms of our generation.
Yeah, recent history.
Yeah, You know,
Because 15 years is quite recent.
exactly.
In the whole scheme of things, like that is a very recent history.
Yeah.
You know?
And it goes back to some of the things that you were saying. That to a certain point we just like digressing. It's all about me,
and
you know. And where is it going to lead us? I'm actually interested to know, you know, what the next generation will be all about.
Just look outside. Honestly, I'm scared, bro. Like, look outside. Because you think we're worse. Like, the 25, 26, 30. Bruh. We, you know what I mean? One thing I do love about the guys coming, they have the, like, a level of I don't give a fuck, which is necessary, right? Because they really just go. Like, they just shoot. They go at what they need to go at. It's just the focus is, you know, if the focus is quite different, right? Like, if they had our parents' focus in terms of the task at hand, we need to collapse racism, we need to collapse apartheid, we need to collapse all these structures. If they had that type of focus, then definitely the generation after us, they got it. They got the juice. They got the keys.
True.
Right?
True.
It's just we're at a point where, like you're saying, it's all self-gratification, right? Like me. And even that gratification is not long-term self-gratification. It's just like now. I'm a likes amanje.
You know, they haven't liked my picture. Let me post another one.
Do you get what I'm saying? I think that's where I think we are. But just to wrap up, man, like what do you got your hands on right now in terms of, okay, you're doing checkpoint and everything, like what do you want people to be focusing on? Mabatu Busisiwe Gumede, where do you want people to be looking?
I'm definitely gonna do more anchoring, like news. That's what I'm working towards. Like, I'd like to anchor news because it's
7 o'clock basically, or 7:30 ETV, imagine.
Yes.
Okay. So that's where you want to be.
That's where I want to be. I mean, I'm a step closer in terms of anchoring a show, but realistically, in my world, I mean, it's a youth show, so they might just take it as a well, you know, she's still learning type of thing. Yeah. You know, but what I tell all of the managers that I've had, usually when they meet me, I'm like, look, you haven't even seen what I can do. Most of the stuff that I'll achieve in this, you know, company, I don't even know that I can do it myself. Yeah. You know, and I think that's the determination that I have and the passion that I have for what I do. Yeah. You know, so I want to anchor news. I want to get back into radio. Okay. And I'm working on that as well. So hopefully next year we'll see something materialize. It will. Yeah, but mostly just like enjoying back chats. Okay. I think that is what's trending in my life right now. You know, I want to perfect it. I want to bring something different, bring something fresh for the audience, not just the younger viewers. You know, like I remember having Abo Lera Tombele type of generation where she's like, oh my gosh, you know, representing a certain time in broadcasting, right? Abo Bob Mabena and all of that, right? I want to be considered as one of those, you know, who have changed, I guess, the course of broadcasting, and also most importantly shared that with her peers.
Awesome stuff. So where can people catch you on social media?
Twitter is Busisiwe.
Do you tweet a lot?
No, I don't. Siyafana when it comes to that. But I have to because of my job. Yeah. But most of the time it's like work related stuff.
I mean, the president of America tweets.
No, Baba, no. That one can just tweet away.
He tweets. You must tweet.
No. On Twitter is @Busisiwe_G. I'm actually very active on Facebook. Okay. It's really weird.
Facebook community is dope, bro. I keep telling you, that's one of the biggest social media communities. Yeah. I don't know why people sleep on Facebook.
I don't know. Facebook is Busisiwe Ntombi. That's my other name. Yeah. Gumede. And what else is there? Instagram.
The gram. You're on the gram. Don't lie.
Busisiwe
No.
Gumede.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
That is the Born Free podcast. Please rate,
Yay.
subscribe, and review on iTunes. Check us out on SoundCloud and YouTube. Subscribe to those pages. That is episode 19 with Busisiwe Gumede.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
Yeah.